5 people in a room, all of them responsible for the same outcome. Nothing moves. You see in this meeting, someone asks, who is making the decision? One person says, we need to align with finance. Finance says, check with operations. Operations says, this needs leadership sign-off. Leadership says, the team should own it. And the decision sits there for 3 weeks. That's not a people problem. That's a design problem. In the next 7 minutes, I'll show you why shared ownership is one of the most expensive design choices your organization is making right now, the psychology behind why it always fails, and the single structural fix that changes execution speed immediately. In 1964, a woman named Katie Genovese was attacked in New York. 38 witnesses. Nobody called the police. Psychologists Derley and Latini studied why. Their finding? The more people present, the less any individual feels responsible for acting. They called it diffusion of responsibility. When everyone is responsible, no one feels responsible. Your organization runs this experiment every day. You assign a project to the team. You think collective ownership means everyone is engaged. What actually happens? Everyone assumes someone else is tracking the decision. Everyone waits for someone else to call it. Everyone avoids to be a person to get it wrong. The project doesn't fail because people don't care. It fails because the architecture warranty nobody acts. I did it. I led the cross-functional initiative. Product, engineering, operations. All at the table. I called it shared ownership. I thought that means everyone is invested. 6 weeks in, I asked for a status update. 3 different people gave me 3 different answers about what we were trying to achieve. No 3 different statuses. 3 different goals. Nobody had lied. Nobody had been lazy. I just hadn't named one person whose job it was to hold the outcome. So everyone held their own pieces. Nobody held the whole. I worked with leadership team last year. They had 6 strategic projects running. I asked one question in the first session. For each project, who gets the call if this fails in 90 days? Silence. Then one person says, probably me. Another said, I thought it was you. Third said, we all do. 6 projects, 14 people in the room, 0 clear owners. Every project had a sponsor, a lead, a working group, steering committee, and Confluence page. None of that is ownership. That's the infrastructure of avoiding ownership. What we did? One rule. For every project, name DRI, directly responsible individual. One person, final call, no committee. Not the one who does the work, the one who owns the outcome. Within 2 weeks, 3 projects closed. They weren't really projects, just nobody had authority to say so. 2 projects accelerated because the DRI could make calls without a meeting. 1 project got properly resourced because the DRI could escalate it that withstanding. Here is how to find the ownership vacuum in your org right now. 3 tests. Takes 20 minutes. First, the accountability question. For each active initiative, ask, if this fails in 90 days, who gets the call? If 2 people answer, you have a design problem. If nobody answers, you have an emergency. Second, the decision log. Pick any project that was running for 3 months. Count how many decisions were made. Count how many were documented with single name attached. If the ratio is below 50%, you're not running a project. You're running a discussion group with a budget. Third, and this is the one that exposes everything, the escalation path. How many decisions in the last month went up to leadership that shouldn't have? Every unnecessary escalation is a signal. Someone below doesn't have the authority, the clarity, or the confidence to own the outcome. That's not a people development problem. That's an ownership architecture problem. Shared responsibility is not a value. It's an excuse for not making a decision. Every project you assign to the team, it's a decision you didn't make. Ownership clarity is not about blame, it's about design. When one person owns the outcome, they can make the calls, they can escalate with standing, they can say, it's done. That single change in architecture does more for execution speed than any process improvement any tool will allow, or any offsite you ran in the last 3 years. Monday morning, before your first meeting, map your 3 active initiatives. Ask, who gets the call if it fails in 90 days? If you can't answer in 30 seconds, that's your first ownership problem to solve. Before we close this, one question. How many of your active projects right now have a single name of the owner with real authority? If you had to think about it, find me on LinkedIn. Search Rafał Witaszek. Send me that number. That's the conversation worth having.